from his studios in New York, it's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we are here on Facebook Live as well, facebook.com/live-now-DT. All of it is inside of the Charney's Menswear and Tuxedo Studios, 3150 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse, New York. Make sure you go and hop in at Charney's. They were allowed to open back up as of June 1st with everything from coronavirus because they were considered non-essential, obviously these clothing stores and whatnot. So make sure you hop in there and show them some love. And we are at that point in today's show, proudly brought to you by Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. What's Poppin'? Hour 2. We're with Katie Kolinski. She is with Lafayette women's basketball as an assistant coach. She spent 7 years with the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team on the staff, and she is a native to here. She is a Central New Yorker, and she went to West Jenny. And, you know, our connection to West Jenny here in the community is very, very tight and close-knit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So, a lot of great stuff. And above all things, she's a great friend of mine. And she was with me the day that the Toronto Raptors won a national or I should say an international championship because we're in Canada. But the day that they won an NBA ring, Katie was the only person sitting in that room with me. So we have that forever, and I'm very happy to bring her onto the show for so many reasons. The biggest one being an awesome friend and making me laugh whenever we have conversations. So, Katie, how are we doing today?
Good, Dan. How's everything going?
I'm going good. You know, I just had my 1-year anniversary of that Raptors championship, and the longer the NBA waits, the longer I get to milk this championship. So I'm doing okay right now. I know you're a Laker, and so I know we got to talk about that. But you know, I'm excited. I mean, going back to that moment, that was a pretty intense moment because I kind of I shot you a text and I was like, you want to watch the game? And you were like, yeah. And we went out, we watched the game, and we got to see the Raptors win. Like, you got to understand, like, when I started, was it 24 years ago? So I was 10 when I became a Raptors fan, or 25 years ago now. So yeah, no, but I was 10 at the time, and actually 9 because my birthday is late. And I became a Raptors fan at 9 years old, and then you got to sit next to me in the greatest moment of Raptors history for me. So you get to have that claim to fame that you were the only one in the room. So any of my friends that you meet, you got to one-up on everybody at this point.
You know, Dan, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I get the feeling. I understand what that feels like to have to wait a very long time to get a championship. So, you know, I'm glad we were able to watch the game together. And, you know, I was happy for Toronto. I'm not going to lie. I did not want to see Golden State win another one. I mean, that's just how boring. I was tired of them. So I'm happy that Toronto, you know, they were a fun team to watch too. You know, they didn't know, people didn't make a big deal about Kawhi going there, but they didn't realize the other pieces and assets they had with a really good coach. So it's actually funny because the year before we complained about them firing their coach, and they actually did. They knew what they were doing, I think.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, they had players from the G League. They had their head coach from the G League, and you know, they ended up winning an NBA championship, 24 years in the making. So awesome. And it all started with Kawhi's laugh at the press conference. And it ended with Kawhi actually speaking. And I couldn't believe it that when he won the ring, like, he actually talked and he did the interview and whatnot. And so, I mean, it was so intense. I'm still in shock. Like, I still don't feel like it happened. And it's still crazy to me, but such an awesome moment. And we joked about how much I talked about Toronto when you came on the show. Then you started bringing it up. But now I can talk about it for the rest of my life because I think the rule is if your team wins a championship, you can always put it in a conversation.
No, I agree. I mean, you're always going to live with that, you know, for sure. And, you know, I'll never forget when the Eagles won the Super Bowl because I was with Syracuse men's basketball. We were traveling to Louisville, and our plane, got messed up. So we didn't leave until the Super Bowl, the beginning of the Super Bowl. We were on a plane, and I had no idea what was going on. And it was, the worst experience of my life. But I rewatched the game like 10 times since then, but it was just, I'll never forget that. Like, I didn't even get to watch the first 3 quarters of the Eagles Super Bowl because we were literally on a plane to Louisville.
Wait, and that's nuts. And my buddy Rob Drummond, who obviously played for SU, he's a big Eagles fan. He played for the Eagles for a few years, and to, you know, I mean, like, I got to celebrate that with him, and you got to celebrate, you know, them winning and whatnot. I mean, it's been a good last few years, and your Eagles took down Goliath with the Patriots. My Raptors took down Goliath with the Golden State Warriors. So I would say, Katie, you know, you and I, Rob, we're trending upward right now, which is a good thing.
We are, because you know the Lakers are going to win the championship this year.
So let's talk about it. Let's get into the Lakers. LeBron bought another team, and he brought in Anthony Davis and company. I mean, obviously, you know, he goes in there last year and the Lakers weren't that good and they didn't make the playoffs and nobody expected them to because, you know, that's what happens. LeBron comes to the team and they got to build it and they got to have all those contracts go away and bring in those, you know, big-time players to be around him and whatnot. So they did that with LA last season. This season, the expectation was they were going to skyrocket, which they did. Nobody really expected, but due to injury, Golden State just fell completely off the map. The only team that was eliminated from the playoffs before they made the decision with the new NBA restart, they were the only team that were eliminated officially through like 67 games. So what's your take on year 1 to year 2, and did you anticipate this massive jump by the Lakers? I mean, I saw it coming because this is kind of like what LeBron does, but how did you take it, you know, seeing him come in and have that year of kind of, all right, everybody's got a 1-year deal except for LeBron, and then, you know, do what they did this year? Did you expect it to flip that quickly?
Well, you know, the year before that, when, you know, we had like Lonzo Ball as our point guard, we still didn't. We weren't that bad when LeBron was playing, which was the crazy part. We were over 500, if people remember. They had just won on Christmas Day, you know, a big win, and then he goes down with a groin injury, and then, you know, it was downhill from there. You know, whenever you have LeBron on your team, you're always going to have a chance to win. And I think people need to realize how great LeBron actually is. I grew up, I'm a Kobe person. I'll always be a Kobe person, but you got to give credit where it's due. Even going back to some of his, like, first finals, like, those guys on those teams, like, he had no business being in the finals. You know, so it doesn't surprise me because I still don't even think, like, if you compare the Clippers roster to the Lakers roster right now, I think the Clippers are way more talented than what the Lakers have. I mean, you have AD and LeBron, but, I mean, you got Rondo, you know, they got Dwight Howard as their center, you know, so I don't think you got an old Danny Green who hasn't performed that great this season. So I think what LeBron has been able to do with not as much as, you know, I mean, obviously when he went to Miami, he had a lot. But I don't think he has a lot on this team besides Anthony Davis, you know. And like I said, I think the Clippers are way more talented. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I like Toronto this year. I think Toronto has a good chance. You know, I think with Siakam playing the way he's playing and, you know, Van Fleet and those guys doing what they need to do, I think they have an equal, you know, chance to win it all too. So I think it's going to be fun to see. I don't think there's one team that's just like so dominated over another team like you saw with Golden State. So I think if they do resume play, I think it's going to be a fun playoffs to watch.
Yeah, you know, and there's obviously a lot of conversation on how they're going to resume it. There's information that's up about it right now. They chose to have 22 of the 30 NBA franchises be represented, and essentially you take the top 8 of each side, which they do for the playoffs anyways, the East and the West, and then they took one team from the East and they took the rest from the West. To make out what essentially is this 22 team. 8 teams are staying at home, including Golden State, believe it or not. And they're going to try and NBA restart this at the end of July and have the season run to October, a little bit before my birthday, and then have the draft and all that stuff go on. And then essentially start the next NBA season in December instead of October. So they want to get everything in and only have to push back their season a couple months for the upcoming 2020-2021 season. So it'll be interesting. What do you think about it, Katie? I'm sure you know you've been looking it up and kind of tracking what's going on. What do you think about the NBA's plan to return to action with 22 teams in Walt Disney World?
I mean, I like that they're, you know, making an attempt to play. You know, I think that that's important because it's like, why just give up a season that was, you know, trending towards the end and into the playoffs. Like, I get some people are like, well, let's just restart next season, but we'd be a whole year away from NBA finals. And, I don't think it's very fair to some of the guys, like, especially the teams that have a chance to win a championship, like the Lakers, the Clippers, Toronto, just to upend their season when, like, you're just not going to have a championship. Yeah, I think that's kind of silly. I don't think there should be an asterisk next to the season either. I mean, if you win the championship, you win the championship. Michael Jordan never had to deal with this. He never had to deal with the virus and having a season end. Can you imagine the Bulls, on their quest to their championship, just having their season end, and, MJ only ends up with 5 final, championships. So it's like, I think it's good that they're trying to play. I want them to play. And I think it's only fair to let these guys compete. As long as they can stay safe, that's number one, but it seems like they've done a lot of research in how to keep players safe, and, everything else is opening up in the world. Sports are being played in other countries, so, why can't we trend towards that?
Well, yeah.
So I'm in full agreement.
Well, and that's the thing, like you said, you don't want to see a season go away. Obviously, the NCAA had to see that. We didn't have any March Madness. How did you handle that? I mean, obviously, you're an assistant at Lafayette, so, women's basketball, men's basketball, there was nothing. I mean, there was no tournament. There was, an end to conference tournaments that hadn't already completed themselves. So, we had 0 March Madness, which, I feel like people try to forget, but it's a reality. In this beautiful 2019-2020 season, due to coronavirus, there was no dancing for Division I basketball on the men's or women's side. How did you handle that? And, as a fan, but also as a coach, how did you handle that?
I mean, at first, when everything was happening, and, even like Syracuse was about to play Louisville that night, and, the ACC tournament, the players were on the floor warming up, and it was a lot of unknowns out there. And at the time, the Ivy League was the first league to come out and say, we're not playing our conference tournament. And, a lot of people were upset by that because there wasn't a lot of understanding going on with the virus. And then, everything kind of followed suit after that. And sports were, pretty much the first things to really shut down. Especially the NBA after they had a couple positive tests, and there was just so much unknown, and you just didn't know. Like, we were told we were going to be back to school in 3 weeks, and you waited out, and we still haven't been back to school or work. So it's a really crazy situation. It was a lot of emotions that you play a whole season. Well, I mean, our season was over with, but we were going to try to get into the WNIT or WBI. So that kind of got cut short for us. It would have been our first postseason that we've ever had. But it just stinks for other teams that had chances to win championships. And it's like unfathomable that you compete for a whole entire season. You got to think the players are there all summer working out, and then in late August, you can start practicing. And your season goes all the way until March. So you do all that training, all the way coaching and everything, all the way up until March. And then, bam, it's done. Just like that. Everything you work towards. Every day of practice, every day of working out, lifting, all that for the players is just done. Which was, I don't know, I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again, which is so crazy to think about.
Well, yeah, and I hope we don't. I hope we never see anything anywhere near that again. But like you said, I mean, you brought it up. To go one step further is, you're there in the day-to-day. You're in the lab, so to speak, and you're watching these players just give everything that they have. They're practicing, they're training, they're going, watching film. They're lifting, they're running, they're doing taking up shots and whatnot. I mean, there's so much to be said about all this work that gets put in just to be told, yeah, sorry guys, it's over. We're not going to have a rest of the season this season. I hope y'all get home safe. I remember talking with Lemoyne and women's basketball, Gina Castelli. She said we were on the road and we were supposed to play our game, and they kind of turned us around and told us to go back home. They had to stay in a hotel. They were told to go back to Lemoyne. They had a half an hour. The players had 30 minutes to go get all their stuff on campus and get off of campus. And so it's like, here, we're playing a game today. Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so we're sleeping in a hotel in this city that we don't know. And now we're going back to Lemoyne, and now we got less than an hour to pack up our lives and see you next semester. And, I mean, so it's, you bring up that point of, like, yes, it's basketball, and yeah, we want to see March Madness, but these are people's lives, and these lives were changed instantaneously. And for seniors, it kills you to look at that and say, they put all this work in, they did all they got to this point, they did all these things, and now it's done. And there's no life of, what's to come from here. D3 was in the thick of things, but they had to stop. D2 was getting there, but they had to stop. And, D1, we hadn't seen the NCAA tournaments yet because we didn't even have the selection process. And teams like Dayton for men's basketball, who's never at the top, it's like, will they ever be there again? Will it take another 25 years to do it? I mean, how long is it going to take for Dayton to do this again? So, it's heartbreaking when you really break it down. And I think when you think of senior classes, it's killer because that's the end. And to have it cut short in the spring sports, my cousin Sammy, she plays for Albany women's lacrosse. That was her senior year. She didn't have one. And she has a job. So they told her she could come back, but she's not going to give up her job to come back and play because she's done with her school. So, I feel like we really have to think about the plight of the athlete and how just horrible it is to just see everything end, especially if you're a senior.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's unfortunate, and I know everyone's affected equally. Even high school sports and, not having spring sports, and it's just sad. Like, even as a high school senior, you're expecting to have your, lacrosse season and, softball and baseball season, and next thing you know, it's just gone, and you don't even get high school graduations, and, that's the last time, we didn't know if we were ever going back to school, and then it's the last time you see your classmates, and, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy, how everything changed so quick, and, we still don't have answers.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's been nuts through all this is that we just still don't know exactly what's going on. We're speaking here with Katie Kolinski this morning. Katie is with us from Lafayette women's basketball, also a native of Central New York, went to West Jenny, and was with the Syracuse staff for 7 seasons for men's basketball. Katie, now that you're back at home here in Central New York, what are you doing? What's life like? Are you ready to, are your parents driving you nuts? Are you driving your parents nuts? Where are you at right now because now family's all under one roof again. So, in a lot of situations. So what's life like being back in Central New York?
It's not bad. My parents actually, they were deemed essential from the beginning. So they go to work all day, luckily. Because if we were all stuck in the same house every day, I'd probably be going crazy. But we have a Great Dane that is a very needy dog. So, he just wants my attention all day. And, that it's kind of annoying. But it's good because we get to work from home. And, every morning we pretty much are on staff call, with our head coach. And we're talking recruiting. And, we got our 21 recruiting class, closed up during this pandemic. And, we're focusing on the 22 and 23 class, which is great. And I make a lot of phone calls, a lot of recruit phone calls, talking to a lot of 22s at the moment, a lot of AAU coaches, a lot of high school coaches. So it's good. It's good just to reach out and, talk to people. And, a lot of people in the basketball community have done Zoom calls, just learning and growing the game. So I've been able to learn, grow during this time. I'm reading a new book. I'm just trying to stay fresh. Obviously, it's out there that I'm pregnant as well. So, trying to stay away from people and not get sick, before delivery and, keep the baby healthy is a number one priority for me right now.
Yeah, and I brought that up in, having you on here today that, you have a new life that's going to be coming into this world in mid-August. And so what's that been like for you? I tell people all the time, and, it's no matter what a man can say, we will never, ever, ever understand childbirth completely and everything that comes with that. So it is tremendous. Women are beacons of hope and light. I mean, it's crazy what a woman can do with her body to bring life in. You're experiencing that firsthand right now. So what can you tell me about going through, your first ever pregnancy and carrying life in this, very soon going to be coming into this world. So what's that been like for you?
It's been scary, a lot of the time because, again, there's a lot of unknowns with the virus and, it's just, it hasn't been normal. You can't have anyone into your doctor appointments with you, so you got to go alone. So, that's been different. And, like you said, like with the virus, like I get weary being around people. I don't want to be around a lot of people because you just don't want to get sick because you just don't know what could happen if you get sick. And, it's just crazy because, when I first found out I was pregnant, there was no pandemic going on, so everything changed so quickly, but, some blessings have come out of it. I'm having the baby in Syracuse in August, which is great. I was going to have the baby in Pennsylvania. So I got doctors up here now, and, I'll be able to have my family up here with me. But even when you give birth, you only can have one person in the delivery room, which is, like, you always have visitors. You always have people that come and see you, the next couple of days after you give birth. And, that's going to be different. And they try to get you in and out of the hospital now. And, it's definitely scary times. But, you just got to have faith that it's all going to work out. And, you just got to do what you can to stay healthy. That's it. I don't know. It's just like there's so much that you don't know about pregnancy until you actually go through it. And then you're just like, wow, like women are like BA, like they're tough, because some days I wake up and I'm just so angry at the world and my feet are swollen. I don't even want to walk, and it's hard to sleep with a huge stomach, and so I give women a lot of credit because you really don't know until you're going through it, and you're just like, wow, like it's just unbelievable. But at the end of the day, you're bringing a new life into the world, and it's exciting. Like I can't wait to be a mom, and I can't wait to meet my daughter in a couple months. People don't realize too how long 9 months actually is. Because,
yeah.
Like I feel like the baby should be here by now, but like I'm only on like 7 months and 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. So it's definitely a long waiting period.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it is. It's so, like you said, you're going through this, and there's women that are listening right now. There's families that are listening right now and watching that are like right there with you. One of my friends, Jen, it was funny. I called her, and she does like travel stuff with Disney and whatnot. And I called her up, and she answered the phone, and we hadn't talked in a bit. And I was like, hey, Jen, how you doing? And I was like, oh, I got a Disney show, Dan on Disney, and we were talking about working together and doing some stuff with travel. And so I just said to her, like, off the cuff, like, oh, when can you talk? And she was like, well, can I call you back in a couple hours? And I was like, yeah, no problem. So I'm thinking in my head she has a meeting. I'm thinking like, I know she has a child already, so maybe they were doing something. Maybe they were traveling. She goes, I'm in the hospital. I just had a baby yesterday. Can you give me a couple hours and I'll call you back? And I was like, what are you, I was like, don't talk to anybody for like 3 weeks now. Like, you need to go heal and just sit. And, like, I feel like I'm going to be the type of person where I'm just going to when I get to have my first kid, I'm just going to carry that woman of mine, like, out of the, be like, you are going home. You're going to lay down. You're not going to do anything. Like, you've done enough for the 9 months that you've had to go through this. But I mean, there's people listening right now going through that. And, such an interesting pregnancy that, coronavirus and everything with social injustice, which has been going on for a long time, but, rioting and peaceful protests and just seeing the world go through this. And it's an election year. So you've really like run the game. You picked a perfect time to have a baby, Katie. But it's, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like you never know. And like you said, the world was just going on fine, and then it stopped, and then it came up again, but it was not looking good. So I'm sure that this has been a very interesting road for you and for other soon-to-be moms out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, like, big thing for me was I was waiting to see if we were going back to work this summer. It was such a waiting game. And then I'm like, well, do I get a doctor in Syracuse? Do I go back to PA?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns. Like, everyone's dealing with the unknown. And, so it's just, you take it one day at a time, and, some days are more stressful than others, but you just got to stay positive, because everything will always work itself out, and there's a plan for everybody. So, I've just been trying to stay positive and, just getting ready fully as I can, to be a mom. Like, that's the number one thing that I've just focused on during this time is, how to be the best mom I can be and how to, be healthy. So that's just, like, that's been my number one. But, I know everyone's dealing with, things in their lives right now. Some people don't have jobs, and people have gotten furloughed, and, the unemployment rate is going up, and, there's just a lot going on in the world. So, I just try to count my blessings because, I still have my job, I still get a paycheck. So, I've been blessed at the same time because it could always be worse.
What's recruiting like during Corona? I know you said you guys have like wrapped up classes. You're already moving out to 2022, but what's recruiting and all of this been like? Being pregnant, being home, coronavirus. How have you ad-libbed your job to still be successful and to still, be the Katie Kolinski that we all know that you are? How have you continued that?
I think the biggest is our staff as a whole is very organized.
Yeah.
When we were out on the road last summer, we already had a good list of, players we were interested in and wanted to recruit. And, a lot of people on our staff have been coaching for a long time, so they have a lot of, connections in like the AU world and high school world. So, it's been a good time to reach out, and, if we want to add some kids to our list, we reach out, we get some film. So a lot of recruiting right now is just based off of film, unless you've seen them live or know who they are. So it's been different, but it's been good because I felt like we've had a lot of time to really get to know some 22s and 23s, and which has been good because maybe we wouldn't have had that opportunity. I know we've missed out on some live periods to go watch kids, and we probably could have seen more kids, but, we're really happy with the list that we have, and we're really happy with the work that we put in the last couple months. And, every day, just make calls, talk to people, reach out, check in with people, see how people are doing during these times. So I think it's just been refreshing just to be able to, still be able to do our jobs and, have a good, we're really happy where we're at with our recruiting, and, we give it our best effort every day. So, I think it's been a good time to, reflect and just recruit and, get to know as many people as you can and, get real genuine relationships with the kids. So, I've enjoyed this time to get to know a lot of people.
Yeah, speaking here with Katie Kolinski, an assistant coach with Lafayette women's basketball, and was here with Syracuse for 7 seasons with men's basketball. Katie, for you, as you step forward, when you go back into this upcoming season, and I mean, you really got to think about it this way, which is interesting. When you step into this new 2020-2021 women's basketball season at Lafayette as an assistant coach, you're stepping in to your second season with Lafayette, and you're stepping into your first season as a mom. How are you looking at all that?
You know what? I try not to think about it because I'm like, how the heck am I going to be a single mom in Pennsylvania raising a child while working a full-time coaching job, and by the time I get back on campus after my leave, it's going to be right in the nick of the season. We're going to be starting scrimmages a couple weeks after, and, it's going to be a tough transition, and, you got to have a good support system, which I do have at Lafayette. I love our staff, and I love our players on our team, and they've been so supportive. So you just got to pray on it, and give it your best effort. And, there's going to be sleepless nights, and you're going to have to wake up, and you're going to have a full day of work, and, then you're going to have practice after that, and you're going to have to give, the 15 kids on your team, the same type of energy that you give your daughter. And, it's going to be tough, but, at the end of the day, you just got to be positive, and you got to make it work. I have no choice. You got to support your daughter and your family, and sometimes you just got to, do things that are tough. And like I said, having a support system is going to be big. So I'm excited. It's a lot of unknowns, but you got to run with it. You have to make it work. There's no choice. So, we'll see how it all works out.
That coming here from Katie Kolinski. Katie, before we jump into our last portion of today's show, to look at the state of the world for you, you have always been, I mean, for as long as I've known you and our friendship and our connection that we've had, you have always been positive, and wanting to uplift people and see good people rise and really, be a good judge of character and see kind of, who people are and what they're about. What we're seeing going on in the world right now, besides coronavirus with racial injustice and whatnot, I mean, you have worked around people of all different colors of the rainbow and backgrounds and creeds and ethnicities. How have you taken all of this, and what type of world do you want your daughter to come into?
Yeah, I've always been a big, person to, stand up for Black Lives Matter, and equality for women and minorities. I don't... And beforehand, let's say even a couple of years ago, I had putting out, supporting Kaepernick or, which I always have supported Kaepernick. I always saw his bigger picture that a lot of people who act like racism isn't there tried not to see it, because people don't like hard conversations. But conversation need to be had because, there's still a lot of things that haven't changed. Yes, I'm just happy that people can finally talk on a platform, even on their like social media, where they know they're not going to get fired for saying it. Because before, you could put that out there that, you know, equality, Black Lives Matter, you know, there's unfair things going on in the world, but you could get fired for it because other people didn't see it that way. You know, and if you're the only person talking about it, like Kaepernick, who got fired from his job, who didn't get another opportunity because he spoke about it, is a prime example of that. So I think I'm happy that we can finally speak freely on it. And I think, you know, things have to change. And, you know, I don't even think we've touched on a number of issues that are still going on in the country. You know, obviously police brutality is big, and they're talking about signing, you know, laws into place now to change that. But there's a lot of other things. Like the NFL has to put out a thing saying that they're going to hire more minority coaches. Like that shouldn't be a thing, you know? It should be equal opportunity for anyone who is qualified to get a job. Women are paid less than men in our country. Black women are paid less than that in our country. So there's just so many other issues that need to be talked about and expanded on and changed. Like, I just want to see change. It's time. You know, I'm tired of it. There's no reason to have any type of racism and, like, everything's equal. We're all equal people. We're all human beings. We're all just trying to make a life. We're all just trying to make change. And, you know, I'm happy that we're finally speaking on it. You know, it's just time. And, you know, people are protesting. And it's not just black people protesting. It's white people protesting. You know, all different races are protesting because we're all unified. And that's how things change, when we all decide that we're going to see, you know, there is an issue. We're not going to put blinders to the issue. And then we're going to change as individuals. So, you know, I just want my daughter, you know, I have a mixed daughter coming into the world, and I don't know how she's going to be accepted, you know? So I want her to be able to come into a world where there's equality, where she can get equal job opportunity as a, you know, interracial woman. And, you know, hopefully things just keep changing for the better, because, you know, we're in 2020. Like, it's sad. It's sad that it's even having to, you know, still be brought up. But, again, you know, people don't want to see it. You know, we have a lot of people in power that are older generations who tend to act like it's not there. And, you know, I think, you know, in November, people need to go vote. Know who your local government is. Know what they stand for. Pay attention who's been quiet during these times, and pay attention who's been racist during these times, and vote them the heck out of office. That's how I feel.
Well, you know, and it's a reality. You know, when I was in Pennsylvania, there was somebody running for mayor of a local town, and I am proudly, you know, have Hispanic background, and I love, and my family's watching today, and from Spain, and I love everything about my connection and my nationality, and I pride myself in it. And so to me, to be on that side, and, you know, I remember I was living in an apartment, so obviously this lady owned the apartment. And the apartment that I was in, she put up this sign for the mayor. And the whole thing about him was that he was allegedly telling people to go door to door and find illegal immigrants and send them home. And I go, well, what are you looking for? People that are tan? People that speak Spanish? I mean, that doesn't mean that they're illegal, and it doesn't mean they're all from Mexico. Because that was also another thing that people had said in front of me. Oh, you're Hispanic, so you're from Mexico. And I was like, well, that's highly racist too. Like, we're not all from Mexico. So there was in, like, you know, stealing jobs and all that stuff, and I'm like, my God. So you hear all these things that people say, and you hear stuff about this guy that's running for mayor, and she put the sign up, and I took it down because I had an apartment there. She put the sign up again, and I took it down again. She zip-tied the sign, and she called me, and she said, do you know why my sign keeps getting taken down? And I played stupid. I was like, well, what do you mean? And she goes, oh, well, the sign's down. And I said, well, just out of curiosity, why do you feel the need to put it up? She's like, well, that's my house. I own it. I said, right. You own this house, but some of the people that live in this house do not agree with your views. And if you are a Hispanic person and you knew that somebody was on there was a sign on your front lawn with someone who disrespected your entire background and ethnicity, would you be okay with that? So I said, I think that, you know what? This is your house. You own it. But I pay rent here. If you want to put that sign on your front lawn and that's who you want to support, then do that. But putting that sign on my front lawn is telling all my friends that that I'm standing against my own people, and I can't do that. So I was going to take it down. I was going to pee on the sign. I was going to rip it down every chance I got. But, you know, it's just, to me, like you said, you brought it up, like when you know what people stand for. And I was so vehemently against what this man stood for. And the thing that's sad is not only did he get voted into office, he eventually made it to Congress. So now, I mean, I don't know if he's still there. I'd have to look that up and check because I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore. But he's representing the entire country now, which is disgusting. And, you know, so it's like any Hispanic should look at him and go, Jesus, why is this man in office right now with those views? But we have to vote. And I think that what annoys me so much, no matter who you're voting for, what you're doing, what annoys me is when people go, well, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count. And if you think that, then the person, then you have no right to say anything about who makes it into office, number one. But it takes away. There's few things that we can do, even though we're supposed to be the land of the free. There's few things we could do to enact change like that. And, you know, I just feel like, Katie, on both sides of the spectrum, no matter what party or whatever people are connected to, there are people in office right now who do not represent us, and they do not represent good, and they do not represent love for all races and all sexes and sexual orientations and creeds and religions and whatnot. And I feel like if someone is in any office, judicial, executive, legislative, anybody that's representing us locally or nationally or regionally needs to be somebody who spreads love and not hate. And I think that we really need to do our due diligence of researching who stands for love and who does the right thing, not because they were pushed to, but because they chose to. And that's who we should be voting for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We need someone in office that's gonna bring everyone together. You know, people are acting surprised about Trump right now and his views and his lack of bringing people together. I'm like, he showed who he was 4 years ago when we elected him. He talked the same way about women. He talked the same way about people. You know, he's always attacking other people. You know, and that's just not leadership. That's not being a president. And, you know, it's sad that some people still think that's okay. Like, I don't even care about your political views or anything. It's just about being kind to others and being a good person. Just be a good person and bring people together. And that's what Obama did really well. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care that Trump's Republican, but bring us together as one. Like, that is your job as a president, you know, for unity. And you're not doing that. You're bringing us farther apart, and that's the part I don't like. And you can't even act surprised, you know, because he's done it his whole life. He's always acted this way, but people seem to not care, and, you know, people are still supporting him, which is fine. You can support who you want, but, you know, at the end of the day, when does it come about, you know, doing the right thing? So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how November goes, for sure.
Yeah, you know, and my hope is just that, you know, whatever people do, they always say vote your conscience. You know, vote with somebody that you can sleep at night knowing that you made that decision, whether it ends up happening or not. Just vote for who you truly believe in your heart of hearts. You can sleep at night and put your head on the pillow and get a full night's sleep making that decision. So Katie Kolinski here with us, having some fun. Katie, I want to flip the script here. I know that we've done stuff like this on the show before, but I'm not going to ask any questions. It's all you. It's rapid fire. You've been sitting in the house. Listen, you are pregnant. It is hot outside. You're sitting in the house. You got the parents there. Like, you deserve to have, you know, a little gift today, if I may. So I'm going to give you the opportunity, not 4, but 5. I usually do 4, but you can ask me any 5 questions in the world. We've known each other for a few years now, but rapid fire is all you. And I am on the hot seat 100% of this time. So you can ask me any 5 questions in the world, Katie, whenever you're ready. This is one of my gifts to you because you've been cooped up and dealing with all your stuff. So what do you got for me?
Ooh, tough. Who's going to win the NBA championship this year?
Dang it. I think the Raptors have a chance to rep the East, but I think the Lakers got a really good shot. If the Lakers play the Raptors, it's going to be tough as nails, and I probably right now side more with the Lakers, but I think the Clippers are also dangerous. So if I had to choose right now, I'd say Toronto, LA Lakers, and I think the Lakers have somewhat of an edge, but I hope that I'm wrong because obviously I love Toronto.
Okay. Who's the best NBA basketball player all time?
Michael Jordan, without question.
Oh, my.
Without question. No questions. Championship-wise, Bill Russell, he's got 11. Kobe Bryant should be compared to Michael Jordan, not just LeBron. That's another story. But it's very hard for me to make a Mount Rushmore because there's so many Lakers I put on it. And I'm not even a Laker fan, but when I do Mount Rushmore, I'm like, well, Magic's got to be up there, Kareem, Kobe. Then you think about Shaq and his career. So it's like, and then you think, well, Chamberlain. And so it's very, very difficult to figure out who's like the greatest of the greatest. But I definitely think Jordan's got to be number one right now, in my opinion.
Okay. This is tough. Does Syracuse get their 22 recruit on campus to play, their top guy to play in 22 class? Is he actually going to come, or is he going pro early?
You know, I want to say he's going to make it here, and my gut right now is like, like my heart and my gut. I want to say yes, but it's a long time, and there's a lot of things that entice, and this world has kind of shown us how it can flip on its axis pretty quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't, but I'm hoping that he will. Right now, if it happened today, I'd feel pretty. I would be anxious, Katie. I would be like if I was on The Bachelor and I was one of the two guys left, and I didn't know if I was the guy that was gonna get the yes or the no from the girl at the end. That's how I feel right now. Like, it's that moment where you're in the final two and you don't know how it's going to be. So I would tread lightly with it, but I'm hopeful. But if I've learned anything covering recruits, a couple years is a very long time.
I think he could have a Carmelo Anthony type impact if he does come.
I hope so. I do.
Who's your early starting five Syracuse men's basketball today?
Oh, my starting for this upcoming 2021?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, obviously there's been some change, and, the backcourt of Syracuse kind of just jettisoned away. Bryson Goodine's gone, Jalen Carey's gone, Howard Washington Jr., who I was probably the closest to, he's gone, and then my guy, my dude, Mr. Brendan Paul, he's out playing for Fairmont D2, so shout out to him as well. So if I had to pick right now, oh God, what Syracuse's roster was going to look like, it's tough. Obviously Joe Girard's going to bring the ball up. Buddy will be out there as well. Marek, I would have to say Brahma and Quincy. I guess that's where I'm at. I'd probably have to lean on everybody that was coming back a little bit to go out there and do their thing. I think Joe did a good job as a freshman. I think he still has a giant area to gain, and that's not a knock on him. I just think he has a lot of upside. I think Buddy is so much more than what people think he is. Kind of like comparing him to Trevor Cooney. They think he only shoots threes. And then Marek is my guy. I love Marek. He wears my number, and he's just a hell of a player. And then Barama is a lot better than centers that we've had in the past. And Quincy's got some definite upside as well. I don't even think Quincy knows where Quincy can go yet. So I guess I'd have to lean on the faces that we know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think I think Alan Griffin should be able to get a waiver in this time, and hopefully I think he would start. Obviously start. I think it wouldn't even be a question.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you. What else you got? You got, let's see here. I think you have two more.
Two more questions. Oh, my.
It doesn't have to be sports. You can ask me literally anything.
This is tough. I don't know. I got nothing. I got...
Two in the world, Katie. We've known each other for how many years? Anything in the world. What would I do if I was pregnant? You can ask me that.
you put me on the spot.
That's right.
How many miles you walked yesterday?
How many miles did I walk yesterday? Yesterday was it was close to 6 miles was yesterday. So yeah, because I'm averaging 5 to 7 miles a day, and I've done 10 and 11. I'm over 700,000 steps in 50 days. I know that. So I've walked at least 330 miles altogether.
Okay.
Last one. Make it count.
Last one.
Yes.
Where's Syracuse going to finish in the ACC next year?
Oh, my God. This is treacherous. I would say, oh God, in men's basketball?
Yep.
I would say that's relying a lot. I mean, it's Marek's last go. It's Brahma's last go. So, and with Allen coming in, I'm going to say they're going to end in the top 7 of the ACC. They're not going to be 1 or 2, in my opinion, as of right now, my thoughts. But I think they're going to end in the top 7 of 15. So they'll be in the upper echelon of the ACC. They'll be in the upper half of the ACC. I think something to me, I almost said top 6, but something's telling me that they're probably going to end up like top 7 in the ACC next year.
I got top 5 at least because they had a lot of close games last year. They should have won in the ACC. Yeah. I think everyone's a year older, and I think if Alan Griffin can play, I think he makes up for. Oh my God, why am I blanking? Oh my God,
Elijah. Yeah.
Yes, Elijah. I don't know why. I've known Elijah for like 5 years now, and I just totally blanked on Elijah's name, which, shout out to Elijah. I can't wait to see where he ends up in the draft, and I think it's going to be a steal for anyone who gets him.
Yeah, the thing I like about Elijah is I said arguably he might be like one of the best draft picks to come out of Syracuse in a long time. I really honestly think that his career in the NBA can bear a lot of fruit. I really do. My feeling on Elijah is that he is definitely going to translate, and I'm excited for what that's going to look like. My reason of putting them in the top 7 and not the top 5 at the moment is because, making up for Elijah, you're making up for a lot, and you're making up for a utility belt. So I hope the best for Syracuse. I always do. And I hope the best for Elijah as we step forward. The draft is going to be like right before my birthday. I think it's October 15th and on the 21st if everything goes on schedule. So excited for that moment and to see what can happen. I still remember sitting in my car, pulled over, and I was in the city of Syracuse. I was downtown, and I was supposed to do an interview with Elijah Hughes, and he was coming from East Carolina, and I pulled in to a parking lot so that I could do the interview, and I did it in the car, recorded everything in the car, had my travel recorder and all of that, and I remember that was the first conversation I ever had with Elijah. So definitely he means a lot to me. I remember those moments, and I'm hoping the best for this young man. I really do. I just do. I feel like he's going to be one of those players that comes out of Syracuse that really did find his way in the NBA, and I'm excited to see it.
No, for sure. So we'll see. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. I know some, college football teams are coming back and guys are testing positive, and now they're shutting workouts down. And, we'll see what happens when guys test positive during the season and what the protocol is and how does that shut things down. And, our games being played, there's a lot of things and variables that can happen the next couple months. So, hopefully everyone can stay safe and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. More than anything, I hope people are safe and sound and happy, and I know you're probably like 15 minutes away from me, but hopefully at some point, Katie, you and I can link up and catch up here, because I know that you're kind of in your bubble right now with baby, but hopefully we can catch up at some point.
The bubble's big right now. I'm just trying to stay healthy. I'm like, every day, that's my goal, to stay healthy today.
That's all you got to do. Katie Kolinski here with us, Lafayette women's basketball assistant coach and a member of Syracuse's staff in history for 7 years. Katie, as always, I appreciate it, and more than anything else, thank you for your text messages that always pump me up and make me laugh. Fantastic person in our world, and we appreciate you. I already know your daughter's going to have a great mom.
Well, I appreciate that, Dan. Thanks for having me on, as always. It's been a couple months since you invited me, so I'm glad I got the invite again.
Well, I was trying to let you just, have your baby time and do that stuff. I didn't know that you were. If you tell me, hey, look, I'm ready to go, which I should have known, because I feel like you could like be pregnant with the baby playing basketball right now. I mean, I feel like you do it all and juggling at the same time. So. No, I mean, definitely you've been a huge part of what I do here on Wake Up Call, and you will continue to be that, but I appreciate it as always. So please stay safe, stay healthy, and give my best to the family, and hopefully we'll get to see each other soon.
For sure, Dan. Talk soon.
All right, take care. That